Saturday morning, mid-setup, the cousin stops carrying coolers. Half the work, he says, should mean half the profit, and a real say in what goes in the box. And before the first whistle, a handshake makes them partners. 20 minutes later, a parent watches the two of them celebrate and asks one quiet question. If that cooler lid slams shut on somebody's phone, which of you pays for the screen? Neither kid knows. The handshake divided the profits and never once mentioned the debts. This is topic 1.7 of AP Business with Personal Finance. 2 skills by the end. Compare the 4 major ways to legally organize a business and the trade-offs each one carries, and describe how roles and responsibilities get organized as a business grows, from one owner wearing every hat to specialized departments and outsourcing. Practice questions for this topic are in the next video. Let's go. Every business sits inside a legal structure, and there are 4 major types: sole proprietorship, partnership, limited liability company, and corporation. A sole proprietorship has one owner, and until the handshake, the snack box was one by default. He made every decision and kept every dollar of profit. A partnership has 2 or more owners who share decisions and profits, which is what the handshake created. A limited liability company, an LLC, keeps ownership in the owner's hands while legally separating their personal money from the business's debts. And a corporation is a business owned by shareholders, run under an elected board of directors, and treated by the law as its own entity. The structures trade against each other along 2 lines. Line 1, control and funding. Owners of a sole proprietorship, a partnership, or an LLC retain control over decision-making and keep the profits, and the price of that control is that growth may be limited, because these structures have less access to funding. A corporation flips the trade. Its owners cede control to shareholders and an elected board of directors, and in exchange, the corporation typically gains greater access to funding and room to grow, with the company itself controlling the profits. Line 2, liability, which is the parent's phone screen question. Sole proprietors and partners are personally liable for all business debts and obligations, so a broken screen, an unpaid loan, or a lawsuit can reach into their own pockets. Organizing as an LLC lets the owners avoid that personal exposure, because the business's debts belong to the business. A corporation draws the same wall. The company is liable, and the owner's personal assets stay outside. When the snack box was 3 coolers and a group chat, nobody worried about liability. Add a partner, real inventory, and a crowd, and the phone screen question starts sounding like a reason to file paperwork. Identify a scenario structure with 3 questions in order. How many owners does it have? 1 or several? Who pays the business's debts, the owners personally or the business alone? And how does growth get funded? From savings and loans or by selling shares? 1 owner, personal liability, self-funded, sole proprietorship. Several owners, personal liability, partnership. Owners shielded from the debts, with no shareholders or board, LLC. Shareholders, a board, and stock funding, corporation. Every identification question in this topic surrenders to those 3 questions. Structure says who owns the business. Roles say who does the work, and in a sole proprietorship, one person does all of it. A sole proprietor typically plays chief executive officer, marketer, product developer, financial manager, and operations manager at once. Map those hats onto a single hallway Saturday. Setting the direction for the season, chief executive officer. Posting the menu in the group chat and keeping families coming back, marketer. Adding fruit after the feedback in topic 1.4, product developer. Counting the cash box and deciding what gets reinvested, financial manager. Loading coolers and hitting the halftime handoff, operations manager. And the hats compete for hours, because a Saturday spent entirely under the operations hat leaves the marketing hat unworn all week, which is the quiet pressure that pushes many growing sole proprietors toward help. Partners carry the same full responsibility for the business, and they typically divide the roles according to each partner's strengths and interests. The split writes itself here. the cousin, who loves the logistics, takes the coolers, the routes, and the handoffs, and the founder keeps the product, the pricing, and the money. A partnership where both partners fight over the same hat wastes one of its two advantages. Now, scale the business up. As a business grows in size and complexity, managing everything requires more employees with specific skills, and that pressure leads many businesses to organize roles and responsibilities into specialized departments. Many large businesses employ executive leaders, such as a chief executive officer, who are responsible for the overall vision, operations, strategy, and performance of the business. Managers lead the specialized departments and report to those executives. And in a corporation, the executive leaders themselves report upward to the board of directors and the shareholders. Specialization is the payoff. Departments develop deep expertise in their functional areas, which improves the business's ability to meet customer needs efficiently and effectively. Key: organizational structure chart. The whole arrangement of roles, responsibility, authority, and communication is the business's organizational structure, and drawing it as a chart makes the reporting lines readable at a glance. Watch one decision. Travel the chart at the 40 League Snack Company. An operations manager pitches opening League 41. The chief executive weighs it against the company's strategy and says yes. And at the next board meeting, the chief executive answers to the directors and shareholders for how the expansion performed. Authority flows down the chart, and accountability flows right back up it. Picture the snack box franchised across 40 leagues because each of his Saturday hats becomes a department at that scale. Sales and marketing conducts market research, develops sales strategies, manages brands, and builds customer relationships to attract and retain customers. The group chat post, grown into a team. Research and development innovates around new and existing goods, services, and processes to better meet customers' needs and wants. The fruit experiment, run professionally. Operations manages the technical process of making the goods or developing the services and getting products to customers. 40 halftime handoffs at once. Accounting tracks expenditures and earnings, and prepares financial statements to monitor the business's financial health. The cash box, now a ledger. Finance secures and manages funds and uses financial data to recommend strategies for improving performance. The department that decides whether League 41 gets funded. And human resources recruits, trains, and oversees the evaluation of employees, so the whole operation has people with the knowledge, skills, and abilities to do the rest. Accounting and finance are the swap pair the exam loves for this topic, so pin the difference. Accounting records and reports the money that already moved. It tracks, prepares statements, and monitors health. Finance works forward. It secures funds, manages them, and recommends what the business should do next. Records look backward, funding looks forward, and a scenario about preparing statements belongs to accounting even when the word finance appears in it. Now watch the 6 departments cooperate on one product, because scenarios often cross several desks at once. The 40 League Company wants a new trail mix cup. Research and development invents and tests the recipe. Sales and marketing surveys families, prices it, and brands it. Operations produces thousands of cups and routes them to every league. Accounting records what the launch spends and earns. Finance decides the launch budget and reads the early numbers to recommend whether to double down. And human resources hires and trains the extra Saturday staff the launch requires. 6 departments, 1 product, and a question about any single desk is answered by naming that desk's function. One more organizational tool. Outsourcing means hiring another business to handle a function instead of doing it internally. And a business may outsource a function when doing so is likely to increase efficiency or reduce costs. The classic triggers: the business lacks employees with the specific skills or the existing labor costs run high. The snack box meets the first trigger the week the pre-orders outgrow the group chat because neither partner can code, so they pay a neighbor's older kid to build a simple order page. Hiring the skill for a fee beat learning it for a season, and that comparison, buy the function or build it, is the outsourcing decision in one sentence. That's topic 1.7. Structure decides who owns the business and who carries its debts, and roles decide who does the work, whether that is one owner and 5 hats or 6 departments under an executive. The organization chart is settled, and a bigger mystery is sitting in the cooler. Flip over any chocolate bar in the box. It passed through a farm, a factory, a warehouse, and a store before a single student ever bought it. How does a product actually get made and moved? That's topic 1.8, supply chains, the final topic of Unit 1. The 1.7 practice video and the full Unit 1 playlist are linked on screen. See you next time.